Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a beautiful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. So, you know that South Africa is having an ongoing problem with illegal immigration. And they have been marching and fighting and just they have their own ICE operation going on down there. And it's getting somewhere because the people are leaving on their own. They've made the streets hot down there. The South Africans have made the streets hot in their country. And when I read the letter that the lady from, I think it was a lady, I'm assuming it was a lady, but a South African wrote, and I shared it with you. And she had some legitimate complaints, and some of them are complaints that we have about Black immigrants here in the US. These people brag to us now. They talk about we don't have anywhere to go. We don't know where we came from. Well, you know, Donnie on timeout is always on it. And so I saw this video on his channel. This South African woman is talking to Black immigrants who are calling them xenophobic. You know, they call us xenophobic too. Anytime you don't put up with them, they call you xenophobic. So this South African woman is saying, since we're xenophobic and you have somewhere else to go, you have another country to go to that country. Go to that country. So anyway, I found it kind of funny, but she was also making a lot of sense. So listen to it.
The word xenophobic been floating around for weeks, and this South African lady addresses this word, and she says that you can't put the burdens of Africa on South Africa.
Time every 2 minutes that you get, you jump to say xenophobia, xenophobia. So my question is, if South Africa is xenophobic, why are you angry then that South Africans are saying go home? Because this is your opportunity to leave the xenophobic country. Why would you be fighting people in their country because they're xenophobic in their country, and you've got a country to go to that you can always just go back to? You don't have to put up with xenophobia. You don't have to put up with all the pain and suffering that you claim you're going through because South Africans are hitting you or killing you or whatever. Why are you guys lying and saying there's xenophobia, whereas you are refusing to leave the very same country that you claim has xenophobia? Second to that, you are the same people. 60% of you are here committing crimes. 60%. But you are the victims. We've got an entire show on South African TV called Sizokuthola. And every single Sunday, without fail, there are Nigerians that are found with drugs, selling drugs, and their answer is always that they are trying to hustle in South Africa. We're not going to allow you to break our laws anymore while you hide behind the banner of xenophobia or xenophobia. South Africans are xenophobic. You don't even know the life that we live because of foreigners in South Africa. You don't even care, in fact, because you like being victims. Africans have a tendency of wanting to be victims about everything. You don't take accountability for the things that you do. You can't even stand up for yourselves, to your own government, and that's why African countries are in such a horrible state. Because you fear your government. And you don't want African unity. You guys must be honest, you don't want African unity. You want to leave your countries in a junk to come and be in South Africa so that we must take care of you.
Well, she said a mouthful, didn't she? Number one, who did she point out? Nigerians. Then she said, what? You don't want unity. You just want to come down here and you want South Africa to take care of you. They come here and they start making fun because we have a social safety net. We have welfare, we have social security, we have retirement. They don't have that in their countries. And one content creator pointed out to them, the reason you don't have it is because you have a shitty country. You don't have a good economy. So you want these things. That's why you're being here. Why don't you stay in your country and struggle, since you seem to want to struggle so bad? No, she's right. I agree with this South African woman. They want a free ride, but they wanted to cloak it in them being better than anybody else or working harder than anybody else and not being lazy. In other words, they don't want to take accountability, because if they did, they would stay in their homeland and make their homelands better. But really, Black South Africans and Black Americans often land in the same place on immigration for one core reason. Both of us have lived through systems where our citizenship, our labor, and belonging were contested. And both of us are determined not to be displaced again. That shared history produces similar instincts about borders, resources, and fairness, even though we are different and we live on different continents. but we have some of the same struggles. And there's nothing wrong with recognizing that. This is what South Africans went through under apartheid. This might sound familiar to you. Their citizenship was restricted or denied. Their labor was exploited or stolen. Their political power was suppressed, and their communities were economically starved. So that is what we have in common with South Africans. Black Americans express concern about job competition and resource strain when immigration increases, especially in urban areas where resources are already limited. And Black people in Chicago and in New York complain about this African and Caribbean immigrants and Latinos flooding their cities, taking advantage of resources, and they act like they have a right to be there even though they're there illegally. Nobody knows where they came from and what they're doing there. But they come there wanting welfare and somewhere to stay for nothing. And these are resources that Americans have paid taxes for Americans to have. Now, as for the Black South Africans, now, as for Black South Africans, now, as for Black South Africans, after apartheid, South Africa has high unemployment and deep inequality between the Black citizens and the whites. Now, obviously, the money, the industry, all of that is controlled by white people. So when large numbers of immigrants arrive, and mostly they are from Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Malawi, Nigeria, Black African countries, locals often feel they are competing for jobs, housing, and trade opportunities. And that's the same thing we see among Black Americans because Black immigrants come to the United States to compete with Black people. And we see that. And South Africans are seeing that too. They're not coming to South Africa to compete with the white people. They're coming to compete with the Black people. And see, we know from our own experience when Black people don't have unemployment, when the unemployment is low, then you're susceptible to crime and drugs and all of this underworld stuff. And the South Africans are feeling that. Those people who are educated and who have good job prospects, they're not feeling it as much. But the people who are low skilled or, semi skilled, people who are looking for a job, they feel it. They feel it. And so I feel for the South African people. Now, this is what gets me about Black immigrants. Now, I don't see that as much with Indian and Arabs and people like that, but I do see it with Hispanics. They don't have a sense of humility. They are not humble at all. They don't care about the plight that you went through to get the economy where it is. And South Africans are the same way. They come to your country with a sense that they have a right to your economy because they work harder than you do. Now, they come from countries they brag about. They have culture and they have a tribe and they have a language, but yet and still they don't want to live there because they were talking to one Black American content creator, and the content creator told the Black immigrant, stop telling that lie. Y'all need to stop telling that lie because you know you're not going home. You're just saying something. You're just saying something. You know that you're not going to go back and challenge your government. And even down in South Africa, the Nigerian officials were talking about, oh, the South Africans ought to do this for the Nigerians. So it's your job to provide Nigerians with jobs, not South Africa. And so these people don't have the same understanding that people who have to fight for their citizenship, who have to fight for their economy, who have to fight for their place in society, they don't have any understanding of that. So I feel sorry for the people of South Africa, and I agree with this woman. If they have a home to go to, and since they have so many criticisms of the people in the country that they came to, many of them illegally, then they ought to go home. So yes, I agree with this woman. Let me know what you think about the video, and have a good evening.